All right, welcome back to Ducks and Pucks. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Jones. We're back after the All-Star break to get you caught up on some of the games and the action and preview some of the stuff coming up in the next week. We're also going to talk about some of the AHL news with teams coming out west, some trade rumors with the team, and give you our 3 stars for this last couple weeks. But going back to before the All-Star break, Eddie, the Ducks were on a roll. They had won 4 games, and when you come out of the All-Star break, you wonder how they're going to do. And we came out against Calgary, and we continued to roll and dominated them.
Yeah, and it was one of the many complete games that we had over that stretch of games where we'd won 6 in a row, and we're continuing off games like against Toronto and New Jersey where we just played almost a complete game. I guess you could say the second period in this game was a little bit sketchy with Calgary trying to claw back, but taking a commanding 4-0 lead, and with how good the Ducks have been when they've scored first this season, it wasn't surprising to see that they were going to win this game, and then obviously they finished it off in the third period, scoring 2 more goals, and just a complete team effort. No guy really started in this game. Everybody just played a solid game. No one really slacked off. Everybody played a complete 60 minutes, and Anderson had a pretty solid game too. Letting 3 goals, but the offense helped them out and picked up 6. So it was a good solid game all around by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we got off to the early lead, and we've seen this against the Calgary teams that when we've played them these couple times this season. So it was good. Even though we let them score some goals, it was good to at least maintain the lead and come out with a big win. And Eddie, this is the 20th time in a row that the Ducks have beat Calgary at home. So I wish we could play the Flames every home game.
Yeah, well, looking right now, it looks like we could be playing the Flames in the first round of the playoffs if they beat LA for that final spot. So that wouldn't be too bad. Most likely win at least all our home games if they take it that far. So yeah, it would be a better team to match up against based on the numbers in the playoffs.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Eddie, about the playoffs, it's going to be interesting to see who we do meet. I mean, we ended up playing Vancouver in the next game, which is another team that, it's not as good of a chance of playing in the first round, but it's another team that, you never know. We still got some games left we could play, and we dominated these guys 4-0, Eddie.
Yeah, and it was the type of game we were getting used to throughout this win streak. It kind of reminded me of the 5-1 win against the Devils, where we kept them to 15 shots, only kept Vancouver to 17 shots, and get a commanding 4-0 win against a pretty solid team and a great goaltender in Ryan Miller. Another solid performance from our secondary scorers. Obviously, Matt Bolesky picking up his 18th and continuing his great season. Palmieri and Raquel picking up goals, and Maroon potting an empty netter. So it was just a solid game all around, and Freddie picks up a shutout. So this is probably one of our better games on the win streak.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, complete game, and like you mentioned, 4-0 shutout, and Maroons really picked it up too as well in these last several games. Counting the other next couple games we're going to talk about, but he's got 4 goals in his last 6 games, so I think he's really solidifying his spot on the top line there, Eddie.
Yeah, and that's what we need if we're gonna want to push forward and have win streaks like these more often. Obviously, this is our third time we've had a win streak of 6 or more this season, and having that depth and having that consistency in the lineup, having guys not having to move guys around, and keeping Maroon on that top line, that keeping that Bolesky, Silverberg, Kessler line, and having no not really having to shuffle the lines that much is nice for the Ducks. Obviously we like to see Bruder normally likes to shuffle the lines, but when you win 6 in a row, there's not much you have to change, and we were seeing that with Maroon and Bolesky, and everybody getting used to it. Even Raquel starting to score on that line with Palmieri and Cogliano. So it's nice to see everybody doing well, and hopefully Maroon can continue to keep scoring on that top line.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I mean, the scoring has been there, the complete performances and everything have been rolling during that win streak. 6 games, with 4 of them being blowout, multiple goal victories. And then we come into the two back-to-back scenarios with San Jose and the Blackhawks, and there was some talk of whether or not Anderson would go for both games or if Briz would come in for one. And Briz came in for that game against San Jose, and the first period was okay, but after that, the Ducks just had a complete meltdown, Eddie.
Mm-hmm. And we with our record of scoring first in the game, and going on to win and going on to win games after scoring first has been amazing this season. This would have been the first time that we ended up losing in regulation after scoring first, and but after that Cogliano goal, and even when Cogliano scored that goal, we didn't really have much going for us. A couple streaks in that first period where we were playing well, and then one of the keys of the game was to stay out of the penalty box against the Sharks. Before Pavelski scored that power play goal, they'd had 6 power play goals against us in 4 games, and then Pavelski obviously picking up that one. That was his 7th, the 7th for the Sharks in the season series, and the 5th for him in 5 games against us in the power play. So that's the team, especially to keep off the power play, and they really had our number this season with finishing the season series with a 4-0-1 record, kind of reminiscent of how we dominated the Kings last year, and then just an abysmal second period where they scored 5 goals against us, and Brizgalov ended up getting pulled. Gets a little bit unlucky on a tip by Marlowe that when he really had no chance on, and the shorthanded goal that went in off Bolesky, but. No excuses. 5-goal second period is everybody's fault. Briz, the defense, the forwards back checking. It's everybody's fault, and I think it's just the confidence too. When we look at the third period when Anderson goes in there and they look like a completely different team. They end up scoring 2 goals, but the deficit's already too much, and the comeback would have to been amazing to have to overturn a 6-1 deficit.
Yeah, and going back to the second period, some people mentioned this during the game as well. Is what do you think about Bruce and leaving Briz? You think you should have taken him out maybe a little bit sooner?
No, I think he was gonna always let him ride out the second period. I don't think anybody really expected him to score 5 goals, to be honest. It kind of jumped on us quick. 3 goals in the last the last 3 goals of that period were scored within 4 minutes of each other, so I don't think anybody expected them to jump on us that quickly and put so many by him. But he's a little bit unlucky on a couple of them. But no, I think he was just gonna ride out the period, and then Anderson was gonna go in there. But after that short-handed goal, Anderson was in, and the game looked to calm down a little bit after that. So we keep saying if he doesn't form, this is gonna be his last chance, and I think after that performance, this might be his last chance. But I don't know. It doesn't look like they're going to call up LaBarbera or Gibson anytime soon, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that is the interesting question. And some people have asked out there what's going on with Gibson. And from what I heard is that Gibson was out and sick, and he's actually been back in and playing. So it's going to be an interesting decision that they're going to have to decide to do. Whether or not to bring up Gibson and send Briz back down, or like you said, LaBarbera too. Obviously Anderson's going to be number 1, but we got to figure out who's going to be number 2. And right now it's very, very questionable, Eddie.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Gibson come up and get a chance to play after how poorly Brizgalov's played his first 4 games with the Ducks, and it would be nice to see Gibson come back up after being healthy. Obviously, he started the season with us, and he only played a couple games before he got injured. I was hoping to see him come back up. Although, him being in the AHL is obviously better for him to get more starts. But, just bring him up for a couple games, see how he does. I'd like to see that, especially with Brizgalov struggling. That might happen in the coming days.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that we're going to keep our eye on and let everybody know what happens with that situation. And, like you said at the end of this game, that, Anderson came in and the Ducks played better. And you'd think they would have carried that over against the Blackhawks, but it wasn't the case, Eddie. We played the Blackhawks in basically a repeat, poor performance, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they just looked to be asleep for the whole game, really. That could be a testament to playing the night before against a physically demanding Sharks team, but there's no excuse really there. We kind of opened up the play. Taves jumped on us earlier with kind of a lucky goal, and then obviously that Duncan Keith goal that almost everybody thought would be a no goal, but they deemed that Stoner pushed Taves onto Freddie, and obviously that goal ends up counting. And then from there, we kind of opened up and did the same thing we did against the Sharks in the second period, and that just is what the Blackhawks are looking for in any team, and they've got the speed to exploit that, and obviously they did. And Kaner picks up the last two goals for them. Raquel grabs a goal on the power play, but I think that was really the only way we were going to score the way we were playing that game. Our 5-on-5 play was pretty horrible, and we were outplayed badly in almost every period.
Yeah, and looking at both these games and what's going on, what would you say is the problem with the Ducks overall? What do you think? Do you think it's the defense, the offense, goaltending, everything? What do the Ducks need to do to get out of this 2-game funk?
Yeah, I think just in the last two games, as we got away from that play, and that were allowed us to win 6 in a row. We were playing sound defensively, and making good on our chances, and I think just letting the Sharks get under our skin again for arguably the 5th time in 5 games this season that we've let them get under our skin, and it's not a good remedy. And going to the second game right after a game like that, where you're just mad, you're frustrated, nobody likes to lose to the Sharks, especially the Ducks, and with the rivalry, and you go into a game like that, you expect them to pick it up, but it's a tough to come off a game and play the Blackhawks. They're one of the best teams in the league, and one of the fastest teams in the league. And when you've got tired legs, they feel just that much faster. So I think being able to rebound against a team like Carolina, having a couple of days off is going to be good for them. And if they go out and pick up a win, we could hopefully get on another roll.
Yeah, I think Carolina coming to town is going to definitely help. I mean, not to knock them, but they're the second worst team in the East. And they've been underperforming all season long. So I think that's definitely a way for the Ducks to get back, on track. I think the big key too, Eddie, is obviously you want to score first and get those leads like we have. But when the Ducks don't get the leads, they got to stick to the game plan. And I think when they get down by 1 or 2 goals, obviously you put some more pressure on the offense, but you don't want to do it in a manner in which you're giving up 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s every other time the team that you're playing is coming down the ice.
Yeah, and they were changing. Obviously we saw that a lot in both games where they were changing their style, and they're opening up and allowing 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, and we're not a quick enough team that we can open up that much if we're not going to backtrack and help out the defense. And that hurt us in the second period against the Sharks, and that hurt us almost all game against the Blackhawks too. So yeah, you got to be careful that you can't open up, and I think if we just stick to the style that Boudreau wants to play, we'll be able to get back in our role for sure.
Yeah, coming in, Carolina's coming in on Tuesday. Eric Stahl's leading the way for them with 16 goals. But other than that, they don't really have any super star power really on the team, to attack on offense. So, I mean, this is one that the Ducks should win, and they really need to win, Eddie.
Yeah, I believe Carolina's coming off winning 3 or 4 games in a row before losing their last game in overtime to St. Louis. So they've been playing better hockey as of late. But they'll have a pretty good layoff. They play today against the Rangers, and then they don't play again until Tuesday against us. So you can't take any team lightly, but yeah, they're not going to score a lot of goals. Skinner's been off this season. Eric Stahl hasn't been that great this season. Jordan Stahl, Salmon, a lot of them have been off this season, and it's been a really bad season for them, and their goaltending hasn't been that great. So I think this is definitely a game we have to win. When you play any team in the bottom like 3 or 4 or 5 in the league, you're expecting to win, and there's no easy games in the NHL, but this is definitely one I think we should be winning this week, especially after losing 2 in a row.
Yeah, this is a game that the Ducks got to rev up and win, because then after that, we got back-to-back situations again, and we got Nashville on Thursday and then Washington on Friday. And, Nashville has been tearing it up this season. They're right behind us for first in the Pacific. I'm sorry, in the Western Conference, Eddie.
Yeah, and I think the big thing here is we're playing Nashville in Nashville, and they're the best home team in the league. They're 19-2-1 at home, so this is gonna be probably one of the hardest games of the season. I heard Rene is either days or up to a week or two away from coming back, so I don't think he'll be ready by the time we play them, which is obviously a good thing for the Ducks. And either way, though, Nashville's still a good team without him. Weber, Forsberg, Neal, Ribeiro, Seth Jones too, and their backup goalies and Hutton and Mazanich aren't that great. So we're gonna have to get a lot of shots on net and hopefully beat them early and just keep up the pressure and play well defensively. And this is gonna be a tough 2 games because Washington's been playing good of late, and obviously their star player and Ovi has been on fire lately. He's leading the league in goals now, and their power play is just as good as the Sharks. So we got to watch out for that too.
Well, and then here's another question. We're going into another back-to-back scenario. So is Anderson going to play both, or is Brizgalov going to play one of these 2 games? What do you think?
I don't know, and that's where you think, well, maybe they might call up Gibson and with the way Brizgalov played last game, because these are 2 back-to-back games where we're playing some pretty good teams, and you don't know. I don't know. I knew last time. I thought Brizgalov was gonna back up both of them, and I mean that Anderson was gonna play back-to-backs, and then Brizgalov comes in and ends up playing one. So I'd really like to see either Anderson play both or Gibson get called up, or even LaBarbera get called up to play one of these games. I really don't like what I've seen from Brizgalov this season so far with the Ducks. His goals against average and save percentage numbers are just terrible. So yeah, I really really hope he doesn't get another start, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree, Eddie. I mean, I obviously I think Freddie would go on Tuesday, and then Nashville, I think Freddie would go for sure. So the question would be is what do they do against Washington? And I don't know. I mean, we all like Brizgalov as far as a person. He's hilarious, and we all crack our jokes. We even have our T-shirt, which a lot of you like and been buying because it's funny. But his on ice play has not been funny. And it's time to get serious going down this stretch run because we're going to be one of the top teams in the Pacific and the Western Conference. And, obviously Anderson's number one and he's going to be number one, but we have to have a solid number two. And we got to figure this out, Eddie.
Yeah, and I think we do have, LaBarbera, when he's come up, he's played pretty decent, and obviously Gibson to start the season, he was playing well. He had better numbers than Freddie in the beginning of the season. Only playing 1 or 2 games to be fair, but I really just think he should come up and we should give him a chance because once it comes to the playoffs, obviously Freddie's gonna play almost every game and it's not gonna matter. But you want to have that guy who can come in if Freddie's having a bad game, and I really don't think Brizgalov is that reliable guy. They don't look like they have confidence playing in front of him, and he doesn't look like he has any confidence in the net right now either. In every game he's played, he's letting a fair amount of goals, so we'll have to see what they do. But I really hope it's somebody else who gets called up to play.
Yeah, I agree. And I've been trying to get as much info as I can about Gibson. So I've been monitoring that situation with some of our sources out at Norfolk, and he has been back from the flu and playing. And I haven't heard anything wrong with him. So like we said earlier, he could be brought up soon. Looking at this last month, Eddie, who are the 3 Ducks that you would pick as your stars? Obviously we had the bad finish with the last 2 games, but overall it was a successful month. And who stand out to you recently?
In the last few games, especially the 4 games that we covered this week, and even a couple before, Patrick Maroon has probably been one of our better players. Like you said, he had 4 goals in his last 6 games, and just looking at the last 5 here, he's had 3 goals and 3 assists. So he's really solidified his role on that top line. Playing 17, 18 minutes a night, and he's been great of late too. And I think in the last 3 games, Raquel has been one of our better players too. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists in the last 3 games. So his plays has jumped on that third line with Cogliano and Palmieri, and I think the third one is kind of, at least in the last few games, the 2 losses and the 2 good wins against Calgary and Vancouver. I've just liked how Cam Fowler has been playing. his transition from his own end has been great. He's been able to get the puck out. A couple giveaways, but that's to be expected. But they haven't led to goals, and I think his play defensively and the win streak and offensively at times has just been great. So I definitely I'd go with those three guys. But you could probably slot in anybody into that third spot in the last week or two.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think Fowler, everything's been going pretty good for him. His goal celebrations, we've cracked up seeing him do the barrel roll on that one goal, and then his Gatorade bottle antics when he took his first penalty. He's just well liked, and he's been doing better as far as scoring and playing defense, like you said, and he's really coming to his own. So I look for him to do more of that. Raquel's also picked up his offense, and Maroon has really delivered as of late. Especially, we need that winger to go with the Twins in the first line, so that's going to be huge down the stretch for the Ducks, getting all the secondary scoring. But what about the defense overall? The trade deadline's coming up. And there's been some rumors out there, Eddie. And what have you heard, or what do you think? Should we make a move, or should we just go with what we have? What are your thoughts?
I think we should go with what we have right now. I don't really see us needing to move any of our younger guys for what's out there. I've heard friends and rumored around, and I've seen a lot of him in Toronto, and not too impressive. Again, he's more of an offensive guy. He can play defense too. But if we're looking for a guy, we're wanting, a solid two-way guy who can play good defense, and it's hard to find those guys out there. Top four kind of guy. And I don't really think we need to add France for the price. The Leafs would be looking for France, and obviously the Leafs are rumored to be just having a fire sale if their play continues to slide. And we've heard Myers thrown around all season from Buffalo, and recently. Kessel's been rumored to be traded, and the Ducks have been thrown in, and just because they're a top team, and anybody's looking for that kind of talent. But I don't think we really need to add any of these guys, and especially for the prices that teams will be asking for. I think we should just stick put and maybe pop in another backup goalie and see how that goes. And closer to the trade deadline, maybe we might need to add some, but I don't think we need to add anything big. Give away, sell the farm to add a temporary guy. I don't think that's necessary right now.
Yeah, because that's kind of it's been the rumors that I've heard. Some people have said, maybe throw Edom or DSP out there, or maybe a draft pick. And some of the names we've talked about them earlier too. Tyler Hall is out there, Myers is out there, Franzen. Even some people were asking about Richards and that whole situation. But I think you're right, Eddie. I would stay away from all of that. I think the Ducks are fine the way they are. Yeah, we had a couple, poor performances, obviously, but I think the Ducks are going to rebound and be fine. I just hope we don't play the Sharks in the first round of the playoffs. That's my only real concern right now.
Well, they'll end up probably choking in the first round anyway, right? So I don't think we'll have to worry about facing. No, but yeah, they've been our nemesis this season. One of the only teams to really just dominate us. If the only team in the Pacific Division that's actually defeated us this season, and we've 4 losses in the Pacific Division, and they're all to the Sharks. So they definitely had our number this season. Playing them in the first round, it would be a great series, but it'd be nerve-wracking for us for sure.
Yeah, and we talked about like the things that we need to do and stuff, and improve, and another thing that came up was the waivers and how that works, and people were asking about like when Richards went down, why didn't the Ducks go after him, and can you explain a little bit about that to the fans, because some people are kind of unclear on like the waiver process when people go up and down.
Yeah, you see a lot with. I can see a lot how it's confusing, and when we bring up minor players, a lot of them are on two-way contracts, so they don't have to clear waivers. You can send them up, send them down. Like Edom, for example, send them up freely and down freely without having to clear waivers. But a guy like Mike Richards and other guys like Danny Healy, when we sent him down, they have to clear waivers, and there's a waiver system who can claim what in a certain order based on, I believe, position in the league. If somebody wants to correct me if I'm wrong with how the claiming works, but they will, I believe, sit on the waiver for a day or overnight, and if anybody wants to claim them, they can. Then that player is theirs. The salary is that team's now to pick up, and one of the reasons why Mike Richards wasn't acquired is because of his salary. It's a lot to just take on and not have to give up anything. So that's probably one reason why Mike Richards wasn't acquired. But yeah, when you're on a one way and you want to get sent down to the minors, you have to clear waivers. So it's an interesting situation, and it confuses a lot of people. But when you get down to the gist of it, it's not too hard to explain.
Yeah, and the good thing, the news out of the AHL now with the especially with the Ducks sending players up and down and back and forth, it's going to get a lot easier, Eddie, with the Norfolk Admirals now coming to San Diego. An hour and a half drive is much better than a 3,000-mile plane ride.
Yeah, and you see 4 other teams as well. San Diego coming over to California for the AHL, obviously LA, San Jose, Calgary, and Edmonton moving their AHL teams into California. So that's going to be great for your hockey in California, and just for at least for the California teams, and even a bit for Edmonton, Calgary too. The travel is going to be a lot less, and where you're going to be able to call players up and down without having to rush the flight and call them up a couple days early. Just bring them down, and it's a couple hours to get there. It's not too bad, and it's not going to be too much stress on the players coming up and down.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier, and I'm excited personally because I go to San Diego several times throughout the year, so I'm definitely going to be going back down there next year, and I'll be catching some of those games as well. And it should be fun to see some of the players develop too when they're down there, Eddie, and get more team news closer to home.
Yeah, and it's gonna feel more like you know like a baby kind of Ducks team. You know what I mean? You might be able to see more fans get behind it because they can actually go see them, or they're a lot closer and more relatable. And we'll see that you see a lot of AHL teams out there that are in the same region, that they get a lot of fans from the main team going to watch them, and that might be more prevalent now with the Ducks AHL team being in San Diego. So it'll be cool to see how that works out, and how Ducks fans really warm up to the AHL team.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be good all around, like you said. And some of the news too that people were asking about is that they are going to try and keep the name the San Diego Gulls. They're dealing with the junior hockey team that has the name as of right now, because that's how it played out. For those of you that remember when the other minor league team was gone, the junior team took the name, so they're in talks right now. From one of my sources, they told me, and they're trying to get it done so that they will be the San Diego Gulls. So I would look for that name to, be the one for the new team, which is it's a good thing. That's what a lot of people want, and it's going to keep, some of those old memories coming back for those of you that remember when they were down there. And it's just going to be an overall good experience for California as a sports. It's growing, and that's something that I think, Eddie, you'll agree that we've been trying to do too with this podcast and blog. Is even though obviously we're Ducks fans and we're biased towards the Ducks, but we're also trying to grow hockey out here and trying to get it. It's been going in the right direction, but even more so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with baseball and football being the number 1 and 2 sports there, you want to see hockey grow, and you want to see, especially last night, you want to see more Ducks fans in the stands, and less Blackhawks fans there, and hopefully bringing these AHL teams here will get more kids into hockey in California, and choosing hockey over baseball and basketball and football.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week, and we'll be back next week. Now that we don't have an All-Star break, we should be on every week, and also make sure you check out the hockey store, dnphockey.com. We've got the new shirts on there. The website's redesigned. Some more shirts will be coming out as well. And just make sure you subscribe to the blog and the podcast as well. We're going to be giving away tickets to the final game of the season and probably some other prizes as well. And thanks for your support.
The Anaheim Ducks are the Stanley Cup champions.